Alright, welcome back everybody. Going to be doing another champion concept video today. Going to be going over Bidziil, the Czarian Heretic. Very fun 80 Bruiser that I got to make. Like always, if you guys like my champion concepts, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And let me know what you guys think. I will leave a link in the description below for Bidziil's lore, so you guys can check that out and see what he is all about. So with Bidziil, he is a 80 Bruiser. I feel he would be much more suitable for the jungle as opposed to the top lane. He could be playing the top lane as well, but I think he fits very well in the jungle, and we'll kind of see why once we get into his abilities here. Bidziil, so he is appearance-wise, he would be very similar. He has like a very Aztec looking vibe to him, with the face paint, the feathers. You can think Nightwolf from Mortal Kombat, Kotal Khan actually from Mortal Kombat is actually kind of some very good visual indications of what he would look like. Just like a badass, ancient, Native American type of character. Bidziil is also, you probably have seen this name already if you've watched a few of my other champions. Him, Halen, and Regaris sort of have the same lore background as how they were created. So if you guys haven't watched those videos, go watch the Halen video, or actually just go look at the lore for Halen. You'll get some indication on him as well. So, passive for Bidziil. It's called Morrison Blood, which the Morrison you will hear about in his lore and where that kind of comes about. So the Morrison Blood, enemy champions and large monsters who drop under 50% HP will be marked with a blood sigil. Damaging these targets with an ability will consume the sigil, healing Bidziil for an X amount of his target's total HP, and also dealing bonus physical damage. If the target is a large monster, the marker will be consumed, healing Bidziil for an X amount for his target's total health, dealing bonus damage as well, so kind of the same concept, but also grants Bidziil X% of damage reduction for 5 seconds. Sigils have a 16 to 8% a 16 second to 8 second cooldown before the next sigil can be consumed, and this scales with level. So this is a very cool passive. Just gives him just a very easy way to sustain and stay in his lane or in the jungle. As I said, being a jungler, having the large monsters also be affected, and also doing this to large monsters he gains damage reduction. Very easy for him to kind of clear. This makes it so also he's a very good candidate for somebody who can always challenge Scuttle, because if the Scuttle drops below 50%, instead of just smiting it, he can just deal damage with it, just hit it with an ability. He'll gain healing from it as well as gaining damage reduction, so it's gonna be really hard for like that Kha'Zix or that Jin Zhao Pantheon to come over and duel him, because he's just gonna be able to heal off and just get damage reduction for free. Also in lane, it works really well considering he is able to heal off of somebody. You couple that with Conqueror, you couple that with Grasp of the Undying. He can get some really good healing off of this, which will just help him stay in lane longer. His first ability is Axe Work and Ancestral Anger. So this has a cooldown of 15 to 7. Bidziil empowers his next auto attack, dealing physical damage. If Axe Work strikes an enemy champion or last hits a enemy minion, Axe Work recharges into Ancestral Anger. Bidziil can reactivate to empower his next auto attack, dealing bonus physical damage and proccing 15%. This would scale, obviously. 15% armor penetration, also applying a cleaving effect on his selected target, damaging the target and any targets directly next to them, both to the left and the right. This ability deals bonus physical damage to minions and monsters just across the board. And when Ancestral Anger is active, his axe that he uses will have a flaming animation on it, similar to how when Darius is going to use his W, his empowered W, ability, or Garen uses his Q, how there's like an animation with it. So, just to kind of recap, does extra bonus damage to minions and monsters, making it very easy for him to clear. Last hitting a minion or hitting an enemy champion with this will allow this to proc again to deal AoE damage, kind of like a small AoE area, and also proccing armor penetration. So this gives him some very good tools to really duel just about, you know, anyone in the top lane, but also just makes it just, you know, gives him way more ability in the jungle to clear and to you know, fight in the jungle as well. And also just a really, really cool ability. His second ability is called Depths of Rage. This is where he starts to get very interesting, in my opinion. Depths of Rage has a cooldown of 23 to 11 with a radius of 300. This is a charge ability. That is my computer. Apologize for that. Bidziil charges for 2 seconds, unleashing a reddish mist surrounding him, inflicting all minions, monsters, and created minions with an effect called Rage. So Rage, this effect, I'm pretty sure there's nothing in the game that's like this. So this is a brand new effect that I've added to the game, which goes along with a lot of the other effects that I've added. Rage, you gain affected monsters, minions, and created minions gain a burst of 50% attack speed, decaying over 5 seconds, prioritizing attacking anyone besides Bidziil. So as you see here, so monsters, large monsters and monsters will attack each other. Minions will attack cannon minions will attack super minions. Monsters and minions will attack enemy champions. Now, the one question I probably will get is why. So this is basically if you have an ally around, they're going to attack your ally. If there is any other, this will not send aggro to your allies. I'm sure someone's going to ask me that, or someone's going to write that in the comments. This ability does not transfer aggro over to your ally. This will make monsters attack monsters, minions attack minions, or if there's an enemy champion, they will attack the enemy champion. This does not affect your allies. Inflicted Rage lasts for 5 seconds. Champions infected by Rage are slowed for X amount of seconds. For X% for 4 seconds. And you always see, I always put an X percentage here just because I don't want, you know, with certain abilities, like I'll put, like, I want this to be 50%. But for some abilities, you know, I don't want someone to get the wrong idea and think, oh, well, it's too broken, or well, that's too weak. So I just kind of leave it up to the imagination as of right now, since these are just, you know, concepts. I don't want to put too many, you know, numerical, you know, ratios to abilities, just because, you know, those could be, you know, subjected to change for whatever reason. So this is a very interesting ability. It allows him to kind of change the tides of, you know, of the battle. If you're, you know, fighting, you know, within a jungle camp, if you're fighting within a minion wave, just allows, you know, Bidziil to get a little extra coverage when dealing with those type of conflicts. And just makes it so if an enemy champion is chasing you in their minion wave, you can just turn it around on them for a few seconds and possibly just run away if you need to. The extra attack speed, you know, is just for them to, you know, kill each other faster. And if you think rage generally means that they're going to either be faster, deal more damage, or attack faster. That's generally what, when rage is in some sort of video game, that's generally what it means. So very interesting ability here, and this goes with some other abilities that we have here. His third ability is Spirit's Eclipse. This is a charged skill shot. This has a cooldown of 16 to 8 with a range of 200 to 750. Bidziil charges energy into his axe, tossing in a target direction, dealing physical damage. And this is a two-hand overhead toss. So I mean, if you've ever seen like Jason Momoa, the you know, Aquaman, if you've seen him like he was on Jimmy Kimmel like tossing an axe, or if you've ever been, you know, axe throwing, which is, it's actually kind of fun. You generally throw, you know, overhand with 2 hands. It's kind of what he would be doing with this, just to get, you know, the most momentum and power behind it. Hitting minions with a full charge deals max damage to minions and monsters. Hitting champions with this will knock them back, and the slow is determined by the charge amount. So the farther you charge it, the more they will be slowed. Champions who are, so this does do a knockback. If the champion is hit into a terrain, this will stun them for 3 seconds, also applying stagger for 1 second. Stagger is another ability that I've created, or an effect that I've created in League of Legends. I have it on a few other champions. Stagger will reset all abilities that are not on cooldown for 1 second after being stunned. So just kind of an inconvenience for them. And then also, if you throw this into champion-made terrain, it will destroy the terrain completely. So Nivea Wall, Trundle Pillar, Orin Pillar, Yorick Wall, things of that nature, it will just completely destroy this. So this is a very interesting ability. Gives him some poke, gives him some CC, some catch potential. People will probably compare this to Olaf's Q a little bit, but it is different since it has some other effects into it. The max damage, that just means that doesn't matter how much you charge this ability, it will always deal max damage to minions and monsters. So yet again, kind of just, justifies him being a jungler, just more proficient, I guess, as a jungler than you would be as a top laner or anything else. And the last ability here, which we will go into, is Surgeons. This is a very cool ability, and I worked a lot to try to make sure that this was not completely broken. So Surgeons, this has a cooldown of 200 to 110 with a radius of 500. Bidziil charges the area around him. After he charges up, he's leaping into the air, then landing at that target location. So he will basically jump from wherever he is and then jump right back down to where he was. When Bidziil lands, all enemy champions caught in the radius zone will be suspended for 2 seconds. So suspended targets cannot move or use abilities or summoners, as well as they cannot be targeted because they are untargetable when they're suspended. QSS will disarm this effect though, so if you have QSS, this will work. So basically they are suspended into the air. After 2 seconds, all suspended targets will crash to the ground below, dealing damage plus bonus magic damage. During the entire ability, Bidziil is caught in an animation, meaning he cannot do other actions. So Bidziil will basically charge the area around him, kind of like, the animation would be very similar to like rocks, like the whole terrain will just kind of like crack and just kind of like, just move out a little bit. He'll jump up in the air, crash down, and then all targets who are still caught in that area will be knocked up. And when they're knocked up, they are now suspended. So Yasuo cannot trigger this off of this because they'll be untargetable. They're basically caught in the air. It's sort of like a slow motion effect. And then they'll crash down to the ground, dealing damage, as well as... I didn't add this on there. I don't think I had room. But targets who are caught in the small zone directly underneath Bidziil will be slowed for like 50%, for like 2 to 3 seconds. So this is a very interesting way to just turn the tide of a fight. You are able to, kind of, your team can recuperate over those 2 seconds, whether it's they're running, whether it's they're charging an ability. Similar to kind of like a Bard ult. Just a little more, just slightly different, because this also deals damage. Just a very good way of playmaking. Like I said, changing the course of a fight. You could do this when you guys are at Baron, just knock everybody up, steal Baron during those 2 seconds. There's some interesting things that you can do. Now there also is outplay potential, because when he jumps up in the air, you do have about 2 seconds before he lands. So kind of like Pantheon ult, as long as you can get out of the way, you won't be affected by it. So there is a little bit of outplay, and also if you have a QSS or if you use Hourglass, you won't be affected by it either. But that is Bidziil. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said before, check out the lore that I will post for him in the description below. That way you guys can, read up on him to see if he's a cool champion. And let me know if there's any champion content that you guys would like to see me do. I always love to hear you guys' opinion and what you guys like. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.